Welcome to me, where suspenseful, thrilling, and mysterious stories will draw you into a world where the lines between reality and fantasy seem to blur. When the night falls, when all the sounds gradually quiet down, leaving only your own heartbeat and breathing, that's when these stories begin. Tensions, unsolved mysteries, moments that will make you hold your breath in fear or curiosity, all are waiting for you ahead. Find a comfortable seat, dim the lights, and let this sound guide you on a journey that is not for the faint of heart. I want each of you to leave a comment sharing where you are in the world. And if you are enjoying the episodes, don't forget to give a like and subscribe to the channel now. Relax. Are you ready? If so, join me in the first story right now. Stormy night. Eli Carter stood in the middle of Elm Street, rain pouring down like God's own wrath, drenching him to the bone. The water hit the pavement so hard it bounced. A million tiny suicides leaping from the sky, only to splatter and die. The street lights flickered, their weak yellow halos barely piercing the downpour. His shoes squelched with each step, and his breath came in tight little gasps. He didn't know how long he'd been standing there. Minutes? Hours? A lifetime? He had no memory of how he got here. A second ago, or maybe an eternity, he had been in bed, tangled in sheets damp with sweat, the weight of a dream pressing down on him like a lead blanket, a dream of movement, of running. Endless hallways stretched before him, impossibly long, bending at angles that didn't make sense. The walls, lined with doors, slammed shut behind him, one by one, not by his doing, but by something unseen, something chasing, something that wanted him. Each door he passed felt like a choice he had already failed to make. Each slammed door, a lost opportunity. His breath had come in gasps. His legs ached from running. But the hallways never ended. Just turn after turn, door after door, the floor shifting beneath his feet like the belly of a great beast. There were no windows, no light, except the sickly glow of something overhead that wasn't quite a bulb, wasn't quite fire. And in the air, thick as humidity in August, was the hum of something enormous. Some deep, resonant sound felt more in his ribs than in his ears. And then, this. The dream had ruptured, torn apart like thin fabric. And he had been here, the rain, the street. No transition, no waking up. Just one reality swapped for another, seamlessly, cruelly. His mind struggled, clawing for logic where there was none. The downpour drummed against his skull, cold rivulets snaking down the back of his neck, washing away the last frayed edges of the dream. But had it even been a dream? Because the certainty struck him now, deep and final. A stone dropped into the well of his gut. Something was very, very wrong. A flicker of movement caught his eye across the street. just beyond the yawning black mouth of an alley, stood a man. He was tall and thin, dressed in a suit too old-fashioned to be modern, but too crisp to be antique. His face was long, almost horse-like, but his eyes were holes. Not black pits, not deep shadows. Holes, like someone had taken an ice cream scoop to his face and dug them clean out. Eli took a step back. The man took a step forward. A chuckle floated through the rain, thin and reedy, like laughter being played backward on an old cassette tape. Eli turned and ran. The city around him twisted as he moved, as if reality itself were coming undone, unraveling thread by thread. The buildings groaned, their bones creaking, their very foundations shifting beneath his frantic steps. They leaned in, warping like softened candle wax left too close to a flame, their brick faces drooping, sagging, watching. Windows blinked, slow, reptilian, sluggishly adjusting their focus, black pupils contracting and expanding, as if deciding whether to acknowledge him or swallow him whole. The sidewalks rippled beneath him, no longer solid, but something uncertain, something alive. Each step sent out concentric rings through the puddles, distorting his reflection. His face melting, elongating, breaking apart into something unrecognizable. The street lamps flickered, their light stretching and warping, casting shadows where there should be none. Shadows that flickered and darted, mimicking his movements with a half-second delay, as if considering whether they should obey him or something else entirely. But he didn't stop. He couldn't stop. His feet pounded against the street, their rhythm desperate, breath hitching in his throat, like a song caught on a broken record. His lungs burned, his muscles screamed, but none of it mattered, because behind him, gaining, closing the distance with something worse than footsteps, was him. No sound, no breathing, just presence, heavy, dense, a gravity that pressed against the nape of Eli's neck, thick as storm clouds rolling in, the air charged with something unspeakable. His skin prickled, his instincts screamed, "Don't look back, don't look back." But something deep inside him, something ancient and terrified, already knew if he did, if he turned to see what followed, it would be the last thing he ever saw. He rounded a corner and slammed into something solid. A wall? No. A person. A woman. She was small, bird-like, with a sharp face and sharper eyes. Her raincoat was red, vivid, almost glowing against the gray world around them. She grabbed Eli by the shoulders, her fingers biting into his flesh like talons. "You need to wake up," she hissed. "I am awake." She shook her head. "Not yet." A roar split the air behind him. Not a human sound, not even an animal sound. A sound made of nightmare and hunger, of places that existed only in the deepest recesses of the brain. The places humans had long since forgotten how to fear. Eli turned. The man was closer now, his mouth stretching into an impossible grin, jagged teeth protruding like broken piano keys. The woman yanked Eli to the side, dragging him toward the nearest door. It wasn't there a second ago, but it was there now. A rusted metal thing, standing in the middle of the sidewalk, freestanding, no walls to frame it. She shoved it open and pulled him through. Everything flipped. Inside out, upside down. Eli hit the ground hard, the breath leaving his lungs in a rush. He rolled onto his back, staring at the ceiling of his bedroom. The rain was gone. The city was gone. The woman gone. He was lying in his own bed, tangled in sweat-drenched sheets, the room bathed in the cold glow of his alarm clock. 3:47 a.m. A dream. Just a dream. He sat up, rubbing his face. His hands were shaking, fingers twitching like dying spiders. His throat was dry, a desert of cotton and dust. He needed water, something real, something solid to anchor himself. The lingering weight of the dream, or whatever it had been, clung to him like a second skin, sticky, suffocating. He swung his legs over the side of the bed and froze. His feet were wet, not damp, not dewy with sweat. Wet, like he had waded through a flooded street, like he had stepped barefoot into the mouth of a storm. His pajama pants clung to his calves, the fabric sodden and heavy, waterlogged with something that smelled faintly of earth and rot. The cold bled into his bones. Then he saw it, a tiny river of water, glistening in the dim glow of his bedside clock, winding its way across the floor like a snake slithering home. It led to the bedroom door. No, not just to the door. Through it. And there, stark against the pale wood, were muddy footprints. His footprints. Eli's breath hitched. His ribs felt too tight, his heart slamming against them like a frantic bird trapped in a cage. He reached out with a trembling hand and touched the sheets, sopping wet. The scent of rain clung to them, sharp and electric. The metallic tang of a storm that had no place inside his room. A storm that should not have followed him here. The air shifted behind him. The closet door creaked. The sound slow and deliberate, like a sigh from something old and waiting. The shadows inside it gaped, thick and hungry, and then, oh God, then from the darkness came a chuckle, thin, reedy, a sound that knew him. dead girl walking. Nobody knows that I've been bit. Nobody can know. They'll kill me, and I wouldn't blame them. I wouldn't feel betrayed if my own sister put a gun to my head and pulled the trigger if she found out. I would do the same, because it is the right thing to do, the safe thing to do. So I'm biding my time. It may be selfish what I'm doing, but in this apocalyptic world, it's every man for himself, or every woman, in my case. Hurry up, Nevada. Tristan wants those potatoes by yesterday. We're having a feast. I snap out of my thoughts and go back to peeling the last potato. I'm basically done. Here, take them. She picks up the metal bowl and walks out of the house. All the makeshift houses were built in a big circle after the apocalypse, so we're all like one big family. Our house isn't much. A run-down cabin, really, in the middle of a field that's in the center of the great woods. That's where I was bit. It was my fault, but I just couldn't help myself. Thomas. The very thought of him makes my eyes tear up and makes me reach for my locket. A picture of the two of us on our 2-year anniversary inside. He was one of the first to turn. I visited him often, but I never crossed the electric fence. I sang to him. I talked to him, sure that he was listening, until one day, I couldn't help myself. 3 days ago, I turned the fence off for a split second in the middle of the night, and I climbed over. "I've missed you," I had told him, and he looked at me with pure love until he grabbed me by my wrist and then my waist. "Thomas!" I screamed, but he never responded. He threw me to the ground, and I realized that he wasn't looking at me with love. He looked at me with hunger, with fury, and he bit me. I screamed and screamed until he let me go, but not before tearing a piece of my midsection out. He felt pity, and he ran. I crawled back through the fence, and I turned it back on. I couldn't get help, so I stitched it up myself. I wrapped it in bandages and threw the bloody shirt far over the fence. I brush my fingers past the stitches as I remember. I wince at the pain. My plan is to wait until the last moment. Then, in the middle of the night, like so many other times, I'll sneak off to the fence. But this time, I'll go over and I won't come back. It's best this way. Nobody has to suffer. They won't kill me or throw me to the zombies before I'm ready. My sister will think I was eaten by a bear. Or maybe they'll tell her that I got drunk and fell off a cliff. She wouldn't be surprised. My lips have touched more whiskey than water since Thomas turned. I walk out of the house and towards the crowd of people gathering in the center of the house circle. A big table is in the very center. I go up to Evangeline, my sister, who is setting up the tables. "Why the big celebration?" She looks up from the utensils and napkins. He wants to celebrate nobody being infected in the last year. She hesitates. Thomas marks the last person bitten. My eye twitches, but Eva doesn't seem to notice. I walk away from her without another word. I cannot hurt them. I cannot hurt Eva like this. I will leave tonight, after the feast, so I can have one last goodbye. I go back inside our house and get out my best outfit, the only dress that I had left, and my bright diamond heels, the most expensive thing I still had. My mother and father had gifted them to me before they were killed. Not by zombies, by a human, long before the apocalypse even started. I've never worn them to try and preserve them, just in case the apocalypse ever ended. I had a false hope that someday things would be normal again, and I would graduate or have my wedding in diamond heels. But I messed everything up. Eva will get my heels. She's begged for them for years, but I'm wearing them to the feast. Night falls quickly, and the people have put torches up next to every house, and at the corner of the feasting table, I serve myself a tall glass of liquor. I don't want to feel anything when the zombies take me. I can see the townspeople eyeing me and then staring at my drink. Everybody in town knows about me. The girl that used to have the kindest eyes and a bubbling personality. The girl whose eyes have lost their shimmer, whose soul has turned bitter. The girl who kept to herself inside her house and plugged her ears at every town gathering. Until now. It's good to see you, Nevada, Tristan says from behind me. I turn my head around and smile at him. Yes, it is. It's a lovely night that you've arranged for the town. He laughs. It's what I do best, sweets. I smile at that. My nickname since I was a little girl. I'll miss Tristan. He walks over to greet a couple that just approached the table. I look around the field to see happy people, dancing and singing, drinking, eating, and cheering. Oh God, what am I still doing here? It's not just my bite that could infect them. It's me. I've been infecting the town, my sister, and Tristan. I don't fit here anymore. I suck up their happiness. I don't belong. I have to leave right now. I quickly find Eva and ask her to walk with me. What's wrong, Nevada? I flash my most convincing smile at her. Nothing. Just wanted to spend some time with you. She looks at her feet. I love you. You know that, right, kid? I ask her. She looks up at me and smiles. I love you too, no matter what. She hugged me tightly. The first hug she had given me in over a year, and I hugged her back. Listen, Ava, I started. I'm sorry for not being there for her skin. It smells delicious. Her eyes They're so pretty. I want to know what they would look like in between my teeth. And I bite her, and a couple drops of blood flow from her cheek and into my mouth. I greedily gulp it down, and I crave more. I want to hurt her. I have to hurt her. So I bite deeper, and then she starts to scream. It's an agonizing and ear-piercing scream. I am startled by the scream, and I jump back. And the split second is all I needed to snap out of it. No. No, no. It was never supposed to be like this. I wasn't supposed to hurt her. I run to get help, spitting her blood out of my mouth and wiping my face with my sleeve. I run as fast as I can. "Tristan!" I scream. "Please! Anybody!" I need them to kill me, or to help Eva, if they can. Tristan looks up and walks towards me. A crowd gathers around him, muttering, afraid. "What is it, Nevada?" he asks, obviously agitated. Suddenly the crowd behind him gasps, and Tristan whips his gun out from its holster. I prepare to be shot, but quickly realize he isn't pointing it at me. His gun is pointed at Eva. She is slowly crawling towards us, blood streaming down her face, and an obvious bite marks her cheek. "No, don't shoot her," I scream and try to lunge towards Tristan. "She's infected," he says as he shoves me off. Eva looks up at me, hurt. There is agony and fear in her eyes, but the thing that she feels most is clear: betrayal. Tristan pulls the trigger. Once, twice, and a final time. I fall to the ground beside her. Bullet holes pierce her small body. She's dead. She hasn't turned yet, but they killed her. She's dead forever. What have I done? Tristan and another man drag me off of her, and Tristan pulls me into a tight hug, forcing me to face away from her body. But I feel no guilt anymore. I want to rip Tristan's flesh off of his bones. I want to taste his tendons, his blood. I push away from him. I can't hurt another person. "Shoot me, Tristan." He looks at me, perplexed. "What? No, no, I'm not going to shoot you. You can't ask me to take your life." I look up at him. No tears in my eyes, no shame, only hunger and rage. "I bit her, so shoot me too." Tristan raises his gun again, but hesitates. I'm already turned. It won't kill me. I slide my heels off and place them in the grass. The crowd follows my every move. Bury Evangeline in these. I sit in the grass and nod at Tristan, instructing him to pull the trigger. His hand shakes as he walks towards me, pressing his gun to my temple. "Goodbye, Nevada," he says, forcing a smile. but I can see his eyes are full of tears. I look straight into his eyes, and his mention of my name, not my nickname, my old life, snaps me back to reality. I sob, big and ugly sobs, and I only cry harder at the sight of my dead sister. "I don't want to be shot," I shout. But Tristan doesn't move his gun. I know. Just close your eyes and don't think about it. I hear a sob creeping into his throat, so I just do as he says. I shut my eyes and wring my hands together. "Say hello to Thomas for me, sweets," he whispers in my ear, and everything goes quiet. I wake up to birds chirping, wind blowing through the trees, and the sight of my Thomas. "Thomas!" I jump up, but I feel a pounding headache. I put my hand to my forehead and feel a steady stream of blood coming from a bullet. But I don't care. Thomas is here. He holds my face. "I've missed you, love." The gray sensitive. Theme warning. Violence, gore, horror, suicide, ideation. It's a hole in the ground. Newspaper, leaves, and cardboard. Paracord to the truck behind. Pitfall, the shuffling is sporadic. Moments of silence. Then the stomach growls. The creature shuffles. It's a rabbit. An albino. Comes out like an old magician's hat. No fight. I pull it close to my face. Can feel its breath. Its heart beats quick. It doesn't fight. Why? No broken limbs. No signs of tears. The stomach growls. Look in its eyes. Beady. Red. I sigh. Set it down. Doesn't run. Sniffs the air. Steps around. Timid. Walks back to the pitfall. Flops inside. Shuffles. Stops. I want to laugh, but the forest is quiet. No wind. Once a concrete jungle. Shopping malls, cars, people. Now it belongs to the green. What isn't claimed by the green is claimed by the gray. And the gray is quiet. It squeaks. I pick it up again. Doesn't fight. Set it down. Block the path to the pitfall with boot. It walks around a bit. It's lost. Alone. No instincts to live. Strange. Branch snaps behind me. Big branch. Reach for gun. Black flash, big flash. Bang. Birds fly away. Fluttering wings echo amongst the concrete and trees. Rabbits gone. Slight rustling in the distance. It stops. Too small for bear. Must be bobcat. Agile, quick. There's blood spray on the road. Twisted pattern against overgrowth. I follow it. I am the apex. I am what's left. I am man. Follow for a mile. Blood drippings and shuffled leaves. Leads to real forest. Dense. No concrete. The gray has touched these trees. Now it rots with life. The coating is amalgamated. All is one, and one is all. The gray spreads slowly. That is its way. Leaves touch where they shouldn't. They grow into each other until two become one, until 100 becomes one, until all is gray. The trail of the beast walks the line between life and fake life, where the earth is still brown, the ground's too dry to give a distinct print. Where the world is gray, the blood loses its color and feeds the machine. The sun is setting. The gray will seed to the earth. Still, it grows. The whole of it, the lot of it, pushing over the trail, seeping into the earth, must follow the color until there is none left. Dusk has set. When the green is quiet, the gray may speak. The gray's owls hoot their calls, distorted cries echoing amongst itself. Mockery. They called to me from the canopy. Hoot, where do you go? I don't answer the gray. It's all lies. Hoot, why do you go? I don't answer. Derek, more human this time. My love, don't stop. We miss you. I stop and look into the gray. It glows at night, coding stolen from fireflies. It hums and haws with energy. Colors shifting blue, green, orange, where it wills. The gray squelches against itself, tearing, ripping, like the sound of flesh in the mouth of a bear. Trees cracking under pressure that builds until it snaps. It tears itself to breed. A silhouette stands deep in the gray. It hides behind a tree. Gnawed silver fingers stretched around the bark of more gray. Derek, far more human than before, I pull out the gun. Is it you? Female. Familiar. I pull back the hammer. Derek, please. I put the barrel to my temple. The gray recoils. Low. Guttural hiss. Vibrating through the silver mass. The apparition melts into itself, seeping back into the gray like water into sand. I sigh, put down the gun, pull out the torch, follow the trail, ignore the memories. The trail remains. The blood falls more into the green. If it's a cat, it's big. It's eaten well. There's a river nearby. Fresh water. Lips are dry. Cracked. Hands, too. The trail leads to the sound of water. Moonlight sparkles through the canopy of leaves. The beast has taken me to a pond. Frogs hop amongst lily pads. Ribbit. Stomach growls. Make a gig out of branches and twine. Spear 3. Cut back of necks. Peel off skin. Use knife to cut through feet and hips. Legs are good. Moonlight is good. Dump in salt water. Start a fire. Burn the impurities. Feast beneath the stars. The tune of water is nice. It does not squelch. It does not cry. It simply flows. Night has seeped in. The beast will tire. Now is the time. Pack up supplies. Throw discarded frog bits to where the gray will come. Let it feast on the dead instead. Cross the river. Find trail. Blood patterns are more frequent, not far. Put torch on shoulder. Count bullets. 4. Holster gun with strap loose. Draw spear. Listen, leaves, wind, wine. The wine is not a cat. Draw nearer to animal. Blood pools in thick puddles. Wine is frequent. The beast is hurt enough to not be alarmed by the light. Keep it on. Something is tearing flesh. Sounds like the gray, but raw. It's chewing. Hide in bush. Close to the beast. Very close. The beast is not alarmed. Not by the light. Not by footsteps. Not by me. I face the beast beneath the light of my torch. The beast is not a cat. It's a dog, Great Dane, mouth stained with blood. Bullet hit right flank, bleeding under the moon. Alive, barely. The squelching sound continues. Not the dog. Shine light towards it. Its eyes catch the light, but it does not move. It holds the remains of the white rabbit in its dark and thin fingers. Blood shines off the skin around the mouth, takes the rabbit, and bites into the guts raw. Its beady eyes look at me. Silent intrigue. I kneel to its level. It watches me without concern or care. A child. A human child. I rush to him. The dog growls and stands on its wounded leg. I raise my hands and cede. The dog rests and resumes its whines, not taking its eyes off me. There is no sign of the gray on the child. There is no sign of gray on the dog. Both are younger than the gray. Take off rucksack. Gather firewood. Build small fire. Child watches in awe. Dog is unbothered. Offer small berries to child. It smiles and takes them with bloodied hands. The child eats until it cannot and falls asleep. The dog rests where it lay. I take the rabbit and cut it to pieces. Cooking what's left, eating little, and saving the rest. I curl next to the fire and let sleep take me. The dog's barks startle me awake. Frequent yaps at something behind me. The child has taken my spear and points it behind me. The sun is overhead. I have slept too long. Twist in place. The gray surrounds me. Silver apparitions stand above, shaped like humans, features like humans, but only gray. The dog barks more frequently. The child is near to tears, screaming. The gray has claimed my leg. Its crawl is slow. I thrust my leg free from the mold, but the gray has seeped into my skin. The child screams again, jabbing at the apparitions. It connects with one, but the apparition holds the spear tightly and pulls the child in. Don't think. Jump at apparition. Push child away. Apparition swallows me, wrapping my skin. Reach for gun. Bring to head. Bang. Nothing. Still here. Missed. Apparition pulls hand down. Kicks gun to the green to the child. The child stares at me. Nod to gun. Do it. First words I have uttered in years. Do it. The gray brings me to my knees. Apparitions all around. Touching, feeling, taking me. The mold crawls slow. Points of contact multiplying. Do it! The child picks up the gun and points it at me. Relief. I don't fight anymore, but the child does. Its hands tremble. The child's eyes are teary. It has not known me. Still, it weeps. I smile. It's okay. It's okay, little one. Let it happen. Bang. Sayamontes. Do not enter. All men to the gates, I ordered. Run, run, fast. Take your torches. Take your weapons and armor. Just go. Go now. Fire. We need fire in the pits. All of them. Sonia, please, go quickly with this torch. Light. We must have light. The rest of you beautiful women, I depend on you to help me protect Sayamontes. Will you? That was all I had to say, as they took action barricading the massive castle doors. It was late when the guards alerted us. There had been a breach at our southern gate. This was unprecedented. 24 people against our population of 69. Were they stupid? Sonia approached me as I sat on my throne. It is finished. I have set fires around the perimeter, she said. Don't panic. Don't panic, I said to myself. Then, Daniel, who was a little older than me, rushed to the throne, all covered in blood. I made it. I made it back alive. I had to see your face one last time, my great leader, cried poor Daniel. Then he collapsed. He did a face plant right at the foot of my throne. A knife protruded from his spine. Oh my. Is he dead, Sonia? Oh, check him, please, I begged. No pulse. He's dead, she said as she closed his dead, bloodshot eyes. I'm so sorry, Martha. It's great leader. Remember? I said softly, but harshly. Oh, I'm sorry. It just slipped. All right. Go fetch me some wine. I did not know how many casualties we had. The fight had just started. I needed answers. It took her a few minutes, but Sonia returned with 2 bottles of Cabernet. Sonia, my brave friend, you have always supported me. I've cried on your shoulder many times. I need you to hide. Hide in the dungeons. Take fire and water. Pack as if you are going away for a long winter trip. It gets cold down there. Take blankets. Make 2 trips if you must. if something happens to me, and I'll put it in writing, you will be heir to the throne. But great leader, go, I ordered as I teared up. Yes, I'll go, but yes, the absinthe. May I? It's yours. You'll need it more than me. I've got my wine. Actually, fetch me one bottle. Before you leave, we'll have us a drink. Yes, great leader. Do you want sugar cubes? I can light it up. Or do you want it straight? Before I could answer, we heard screams coming from one man on our side of the gate. Such brutal screams. Blood-curdling screams. I wanted the screams to stop. Go. Absinthe. The works. Light it up. Oh, dear Lord in heaven, if you are real, if there really is sin, then forgive me for what I am about to do. I took off my crown and placed it on the throne. I dressed myself in chainmail armor, and Sonia returned with the drinks. Where are you going? Why the armor? She asked as she put sugar cubes on a silver slotted spoon. She then lit the drinks on fire. I could smell sweet licorice fill the air. If we must fight, I will join the men on the battlefield. Sonia, we're going to win, I assured her. Please now drink. The fire had burnt away the sugar, and in minutes, the drinks were gone. They were strong, delicious. It made my mouth and my lips go numb. Thank you, Sonia. It's time. When she left, I did not know if I would see her again. I then gathered my weapons and approached my female guards at the front doors. Open, please, I ordered. They removed the barricades and opened the heavy doors. As I stepped forward, I tripped over my chainmail suit. Blast, I swore. I had fallen hard and landed on my bad knee. Damn it, I swore again. A woman named Clarice tried to help me up, but my bad knee was telling me, no, don't. You must go back to the throne, great leader, said Clarice in her uniquely soothing voice. I did not want to go back, but I did. I quickly put it in writing my plans for Sonia. Then, finally, the screaming stopped. I felt my stomach drop. Could it be over? Or could my men all be dead or captured? I needed more answers. I stared out the open doors and into the darkness. It was the longest minute of my life. Then, ahead, the head of Bartholomew came flying through the doors. It landed with a splat right next to Daniel's corpse. I couldn't help but scream. Someone had just thrown Bartholomew's head at me. I instantly grabbed my bow and arrow. I shot it into the darkness, and it hit the target that was about to come inside. Clarice, drag the piece of shite in. Strip him! Search him! I yelled. He wore a belt of knives and filthy, worn-out clothes. 12 knives, to be exact. One massive knife had jagged edges like a saw. This must be what he killed poor Bartholomew with. The bastard. I rose up from my throne and retrieved that knife. I approached the dead stranger, and I sawed off his right leg. How do you like that? Huh? How do you like that? I spat in his ugly face. I plunged the wicked knife deep into his throat. And when I pulled it out, blood sprayed out all over me and Clarice. Some women gasped, some cheered, some just stood in silence. I killed. My first killing and dismemberment. Now, who was going to be next? I waited. I waited for something to happen. The quiet. Oh, the quiet was killing me. Clarice took inventory of what the sick bastard possessed. She found a nice pocket watch, some pain pills. These will come in handy. A toothbrush, and a small, pure gold locket that had a small picture of an older woman. His mother, perhaps? But really? Who cared? I tore out the picture and walked out towards the closest fire pit. I ripped it in half and threw it into the fire. I laughed a little as I watched the woman in the picture vanish into ashes and smoke. I pocketed the locket and said to it, "You're in a better place, my new friend. I'm sure of it. I will protect you." Then I turned to the women who watched me from the doorway, as they were too afraid to step outside with me. I will protect all of you. Tonight, we will have victory. I believe it. Do you believe me? We can take these common and dirty people. As I got closer to the women, I had them all huddle around me. I spoke as quietly as I could. Here is what I'm thinking. We spread out around the fortress, stay close to the fire pits, as we shall light our arrows on fire and kill these common fuckers. Then it happened, and my heart just broke. An arrow flew right past me. It almost hit my head. A great assassination attempt. It hit Clarice in her left clavicle. She collapsed. "Spread out. Shields up," I screamed. "Don't panic. Don't panic," I whispered to myself. "No, don't!" Then I heard one of the sweetest, most soft-spoken women you could ever meet. Beatrice scream. "I see them. They approach us from the south. Great leader, permission for us to light our arrows? Permission to set the skies ablaze? Women, guard your stations. Prepare yourselves for battle. Now light it up. Light up the sky. Aim!" And then I heard a male's soft voice whisper in my ear, "Peace. You have the power to make peace. Peace. Peace would not bring back Daniel or Bartholomew." "Fire!" I ordered, and the spectacle was amazingly breathtaking. The arrows lit up the south side of Siamontes. They landed in unexpected areas. In the trees, in the pond, in one man's shoulder, and beyond. I counted 3 fallen men from the first round. When the flames went out, it was so hard to see. Were they charging us? Where the hell were our men? I ordered another round to be fired. Take aim at whatever moves. Fire at will, I ordered as I retreated to the bathroom to relieve myself. Even during these times, I felt it was important to be a lady. While the other women may be squatting in place, I preferred my privacy. There had to be more than a dozen men out there ogling them. There had to be. As I raced through the corridor, I stopped suddenly. I heard something behind me. Not screams, but footsteps. I proceeded cautiously, but was afraid to look back. I entered the bathroom, opened the stall door, and soon felt relief. As I washed my hands, the warm water felt good. Then, a hand covered my mouth. "Don't scream. No, don't," whispered a male voice in my left ear intensely. He spun me around. It was Jacob. What a relief. Jacob was someone I cared about very much. We enjoyed our private times together. We had hot sex. He was quite possibly the best I had ever had. He uncovered my mouth and smiled at me with perfect chops. "What are you doing here?" I asked. "The men are to guard the gates. I needed you to protect the women." I became unglued. Why is this happening? How many men have we lost? This is not okay. Why are you so calm? He grabbed both of my arms and told me to be calm, to listen closely. Daniel got a bit ahead of himself. You know how he gets excited, right? Well, he just took off, running towards the southern gate. He had his torch, and we told him to stop, to wait. But he just kept running. Then his torch went out. It was like he just disappeared. We kept moving, and we were careful not to let our flames go out. Then I heard Daniel, "Oh my God," a phrase I would normally never use. They got him. We regrouped and discussed if we should split up. Bartholomew wanted us to split into 4 groups: north, south, east, and west. We decided against him, and he took off running north, back towards the castle. "I've been so worried," he said as he got choked up. Apparently, he did not see the corpse and the head by my throne when he entered Siamontes. I made sure it would stay that way, at least, until morning, or the end of the battle, whichever came first. "Jacob, I sent Sonia away to hide in the dungeons," I said as I wept. I miss her sweet face already. She was my kindred spirit, my best friend. I took a deep breath and reached for my document I had folded and slipped into my chainmail waist bag. Jacob read the letter with haste. "What's this about her being heir to the throne? You don't honestly believe these commoners are going to kill you, great leader?" I said nothing. I hoped it would not come to that. But as the leader of my people, I had a responsibility to secure Siamontes, even through the event of my death. "Jacob," I whispered, "can we make quick love before we go back?" I know it isn't ladylike for me to ask, but I keep thinking they're going to take me away. Or worse, send me straight to the gallows. I know deep down that I am sterile, so even if I survive this, I will never be able to produce an heir to the throne. Oh, please, make love to me. And he did, right there on the bathroom floor. We continued until we had both been pleased. It did not take long, as Jacob always knew what he was doing. We both giggled as we left the bathroom. We were being completely inappropriate. While my people may be dying, we were making love. It was foolish, but needed by both of us. Jacob expressed he had great mental clarity after our encounter. As we exited the corridor, I gasped. "Beatrice!" I screamed. She stood in the doorway with 3 arrows sticking out of her abdomen. She stood there, solid. She did not scream. She was surging with adrenaline. She would guard Sayamontes with every ounce of her energy. "Great leader, we are winning!" "But I shot Micah," she said, ashamed. "He was out there in the mix without armor." "I shot him. I did," Beatrice cried. "He was the love of my life." Then she finally broke down. She took an arrow out of her pack and shot her left foot with it. "That's what you get, Beatrice. That's what you get." She then sat down in the doorway. She leaned her head up against the door and died. "No, please!" I rushed to her, and an arrow grazed the skin of my cheek. But I did not care. I checked. No pulse. She was dead. And for what? Oh, poor Beatrice. Where was your shield? What did they want? What were their demands? Disoriented again, I stood up and walked towards the brave women that continued to fight. There was Gloria. She always beat me at cards. Samantha never stopped smiling. I watched her for a moment. She was targeting one commoner, arrow after flaming arrow. She did shoot at the guy. She was having the time of her life. She smiled big and laughed. "Take that, you bastard," she said as she nailed her target in the forehead. Were we winning? I think we were. "Jacob," I paused. "Where are the other men?" "Jacob, we got separated. Separated in all the chaos." That's all I can say. The next thing I remember was being alone in the darkness. My torch had gone out, yet I was so careful not to let it. Then I found myself backtracking to Sayamontes, a deserter. Jacob was a deserter. He carefully reached for my arms, but I pulled away. Samantha raced inside, laughing. "Hey guys, look! They got my ear, and it doesn't even hurt." I shook my head. Was everyone losing it? I wish I had some feathers to give to Jacob as a symbol for his cowardice. Tar and feathers also seemed like a good idea. We could send him to the commoners on a rail. Do with him what you must, and leave the rest of us be. I want you to leave Sayamontes, never to return. I did not have to say any more. His time here was done. He knew this castle as well as I did. I folded my arms as if to say, I'm done. Find your own way out. We were nearing the final stretch. I could feel it. As Jacob fucked off, I checked on my women. One by one, I checked on each of them. Are you hungry? Can I cover for you while you take a break? I asked questions like that, and no one took me up on my offers. They were such strong women who wanted to stand their ground. Such loyal women. A few had fallen, and they will be missed. Celebrated even, I returned slowly to my throne. At this point, I wanted to saw off my own leg. It hurt so bad, Sayamontes, I muttered. You shall always be mine. I heard chatter coming from the women outside. Frantic chatter, or was it excitement? We caught one, exclaimed Miranda, one of our oldest people. I shot him right in the caboose. He's down there by the bridge, crying. The pathetic little cur. Come with me to go fetch him. Come on now. Usually, I give the orders. But when Miranda says to do something, you do it. She led me to the commoner. My heart raced as we approached with extreme caution. I did not know what to say, what to ask him, so I said, Why? Why are you doing this? You're all going to die. The man just panted and stared at me for what was the second longest minute of my life. Then he said, You got a pretty castle. What's it called? Sayamontes, I said, as I withdrew that wicked knife. I handed it to Miranda. Now saw off his head. I grabbed his hair with both of my hands. He squirmed and moaned. Then Miranda sawed away. She took great joy in it. Blood drenched both of us, but we did not care. As we turned around, the rest of the women were standing at the castle's entrance. They sobbed great tears of joy as they watched us. Even Samantha was crying. That never happened. Could it be? Was he the last one? Was it over? I grabbed Miranda and held her close. I kissed her forehead and said, Oh, Sayamontes, my beautiful castle filled with my beautiful people. Say, let's go get cleaned up. Tomorrow we can start a new chapter. It will be just us girls. Everlasting tears. It's been 20 years since I've seen a human face. They were all obliterated to shreds by that thing. The thing showed no mercy to anyone. Everyone and everything was decimated upon recognition. Everyone, except for me. There was no warning, no sign, nothing. Just absolute destruction. The thing yielded. I was standing there in the middle of a street corner, eyes glued on my phone, and a woman screamed. A scream of absolute terror. a scream that induced physical shock in me, a scream that sounded like the angels of death were coming to take me. Just like that, the woman was scooped up by the thing and taken away to God knows where. Chaos broke out, everyone scrambling to get away. But the thing did not discriminate. It eradicated every item in its path, leaving no room for a human breath. Standing there, unable to move or make a sound, fearing that I'd be its next victim. Quickly as it came, it left, disappearing into nothingness and only leaving debris of a once functional society. I ran as fast as I could. 1, 2, 3 miles until my legs locked and I collapsed from shock and pain. I lay there in my own sweat and salty tears, realizing that everyone was gone. Nothing was left. Not even a speck of dust was spared from the wrath of the thing. Unsure of what to do, I did the only thing my body was capable of. I sob into my hands, loud and uncontrollably. Between sobs are the accusations. This is all my fault. It wasn't. It was completely out of my control. Why didn't it take me? I still wonder that today, some may think it was a blessing, but I see it as a curse. I'm all alone, was the last thing that slipped my lips before I lost all hope. The misery and pain started slowly and painfully. I was desperate for a way out. Anything I tried failed. I was stuck in this eternal hell. Next was denial, which struck like a ton of bricks. I was fully convinced that everything happening was a figment of my imagination. I was hallucinating, in a coma, suffering a concussion. Any excuse to justify this dreadful reality. The thing never came back. For so many years, I wished it would. After some time, I became numb to this unfamiliarity of life. To distract myself, I began to explore new places, see the world for what it was, a dry, deserted wasteland with nothing but me. I started playing pretend with my thoughts, tricking myself into believing I was in a place prior to this wretched hell. I created a whole family for myself. My mom was called Helen, and my dad was called Steve. I had 2 siblings. One was called John, and one Wendy. Me and my siblings never got along. Wendy always pulled my hair, and John called me a pea brain. Still, I loved them, and we were a big, happy family. I had gone nuts. I began lurking around empty stores, trying on the newest designer clothes. But were they technically new? And having a mini fashion show to keep myself entertained. I scarfed down any leftover canned food. Electricity didn't work, so I had to eat it cold. Then I sat on the display couch and turned on the TV, which did nothing. wondering what I did to deserve this. I had been a decent human being and achieved the life anyone would want. A stable job, a nice car, and a 2-bedroom apartment. Yet I was still chosen to be the subject of damnation. Eventually, drowned in tears, I dozed off. Sleep was different. The constant night terrors and being unable to escape my dreams tortured me. Every day, the sight of the glistening sun awoke me. I never got used to the ear-piercing screech of silence. Imagining myself in a place of peace and prosperity kept me sane enough. I started hearing things, my brain tricking me and mimicking the voices of my lost friends and family. "Come with us," the voice said. But there was nowhere to go, nothing to do, nothing but me and the voices in my head and the fact that there is no escape. "I'm right here." "No, you're not. Stop playing these cruel tricks on me, brain. You're nothing and nowhere without me. You don't have the right to trick me. I am you. And you are the only thing that feeds my constant pain and misery. Just shut up. I'm watching you." Which was strange, because there is and will always be nothing. Nothing but Mo and the summer breeze, which was a trick, because there was no such thing. No summertime beach days or winter snow days, just constant dead air and murky brown particles circling the atmosphere. If the astronauts came back, they would have thought they landed on the wrong planet. But they never came back. No one did. Not a single soul ever surfaced on Mother Earth again. I made my way to New York. It only took about half a month, but time was useless. The year, month, day, minute, second didn't matter. Time was irrelevant because the only being that existed was irrelevant. Plants, animals, bacteria, anything that was slightly alive were crushed by the thing. The only existence was atoms, stars, space, and Mother Earth. Yet all her life was sucked up by the greedy black mass that consumed her children, driven by a once joyful life and the hope for something new, searching for a sign of anything. I will take anything. Oh, glorious Mother Earth, please feed my quenched need for something more than nothing. Nothing. Just like before I was given nothing. Frustrated, I began to cry, crying like a child who just dropped their lollipop onto the dirty, hot pavement. Between the tears, I heard a plop, then another and another, and before I knew it, there were thousands of raindrops falling. One by one, Mother Earth has answered my desperate calls with her tears of hope. The dry ground has been nourished with the richness of the tears, and Mother Earth no longer wishes for something to drink. I sit there on my hands and knees, inspecting the once death-filled ground that is now thriving with water. I poke at it and expect dirt as hard as a rock. Instead, I feel the squishiness of mud. It was like touching the cheek of the once flourishing human population. I stare at the mud I had created and let out a scream. The scream echoed across the vast emptiness of the world and bounced back with hope for something new. Something inside of me lit up, and I felt like my heart was going to fly right out of my chest, dance around me, and fly away to the world beyond. Overwhelmed with excitement, I rest my head on the mud, hoping to hear its breathing like it was a newborn baby. I lay there for 1, 2, 3 hours, listening, waiting for something more. The voices no longer taunt me. They cannot patronize me and my thoughts any longer. A deep breath and the sound of nothing filled my ears. Nothing but the sound of the breeze. Mother Earth has given me the milk from her breast and allowed me to suckle on her glorious freedom and chance for something other than nothing. A single tear slipped down my cheek as I cry for the absence of nothing. As I cry for Mother Earth and her generously answering my prayers, I cry for me and for humanity and the thing, which is weird because that thing is the sole reason for my eternal suffering on this glorious planet that was overthrown by death. That did not matter anymore. The only thing that mattered was the spark of hope that ignited the once deceased light bulb, the burial of the bottle. It was a hot summer evening when the doorbell rang at Steve's residence. Carol, a young and ambitious journalist, stood on the porch, her eyes filled with a mixture of determination and unease. She had been investigating a sensitive case for months, and the trail had led her to this unassuming suburban home. As the door opened, Carol was greeted by a middle-aged man, his face etched with a weary expression. "I'm Carol, the journalist from the Daily Tribune. I was hoping to speak with you about a matter of great importance." The man hesitated for a moment, then ushered her inside. "Come in, please. I've been expecting you." Carol followed him into the living room, her senses heightened, aware of the gravity of the situation. He gestured for her to take a seat, and she obliged, her notebook and pen at the ready. "I know why you're here," he began, his voice low and somber. "The truth is, I've been dreading this day for a long time, but I suppose it's time to finally come clean." Carol leaned forward, her eyes fixed on the man before her. "I'm listening. Whatever you tell me, I promise to handle it with the utmost care and discretion." He took a deep breath and began to recount the events that had unfolded years ago. Events that had haunted him ever since. It had started with a simple mistake, a moment of carelessness that had spiraled out of control. Steve, a respected accountant in the community, had been tasked with overseeing a large financial transaction for a client. In a moment of weakness, he had succumbed to temptation and diverted a portion of the funds into his own personal account. At first, he had justified it to himself, telling himself that it was a temporary loan, that he would pay it back before anyone noticed. But as time passed, the guilt and fear began to consume him. He knew that if the truth were to come to light, it would not only ruin his career, but also shatter the trust of his family and the community he had worked so hard to build. As the months turned into years, Mr. Steve lived in a constant state of anxiety, always looking over his shoulder, terrified that the truth would eventually come to light. He became withdrawn, his once vibrant personality replaced by a haunted, guarded demeanor. "I thought I could get away with it," he confessed, his voice trembling. "I thought I could make it right. But the more I tried to cover it up, the deeper I sank. I became a prisoner in my own life, always afraid that the walls were closing in." Carol listened intently, her heart heavy with the weight of the man's confession. She could see the toll it had taken on him, the years of guilt and fear etched into his features. "What happened next?" she asked gently, her pen poised to capture every detail. Mr. Steve's gaze drifted to the window, as if he were reliving the events in his mind. "It all came crashing down one day when my client discovered the discrepancy in the accounts. He threatened to go to the authorities, and I knew I had to act fast." He paused, his hands trembling slightly. I made a decision that I will regret for the rest of my life. I couldn't let everything I had built be destroyed, so I made the client disappear." Carol's eyes widened in shock, and she felt a chill run down her spine. "You mean you killed him?" The gravity of his words hung in the air, and Carol found herself struggling to process the information. She had come here expecting a story of financial impropriety, but this was something far more sinister. She was so caught up in the moment that she did not hear the two men come into the room from the kitchen. Before she knew it, one of the men had put his hand over her mouth and nose, suffocating her. As they were putting her body in the back of the truck, they heard a voice telling them, "You know what to do." The sun beat down mercilessly on the dusty road as the two men in the battered pickup truck navigated the winding path through the vast expanse of the desert. The air was thick with the scent of gasoline and the faint hint of something more sinister. Albert gripped the steering wheel, his knuckles turning white as he focused intently on the road ahead. His partner, Bill, sat silently in the passenger seat, his gaze fixed on the horizon. Neither of them spoke, the only sound filling the cab being the rumble of the engine and the occasional crunch of gravel beneath the tires. As they drove, the landscape around them transformed from the sparse, scrubby vegetation of the desert's edge to the vast, undulating dunes that stretched out as far as the eye could see. The heat was oppressive, and sweat beaded on their brows, but they pressed on, their destination etched in their minds. Albert's thoughts drifted to the events that had led them to this moment. It had been a job like any other, a simple task that they had carried out countless times before. But this time, something felt different. Perhaps because they had never killed a woman before. Now, they were tasked with the grim duty of disposing of the body, a task that weighed heavily on their minds. They had chosen this remote location, far from prying eyes, to carry out their macabre task. The desert, with its endless expanse and unforgiving terrain, was the perfect place to bury their secret. As the truck rumbled on, Albert's gaze drifted to the rearview mirror, his eyes scanning the horizon for any sign of pursuit. But the road behind them was empty, save for the occasional tumbleweed that danced across the asphalt. The minutes ticked by, and the sun began to dip lower in the sky, casting long shadows across the dunes. Finally, Albert spotted a small, weathered sign in the distance, indicating their turnoff. He slowed the truck, steering it off the main road and onto a narrow, winding path that led deeper into the desert. The going was rough, the truck bouncing and lurching over the uneven terrain. But Albert navigated it with the skill of a seasoned driver, his eyes fixed on the task at hand. Bill remained silent, his hands gripping the door handle as they navigated the treacherous path. After what felt like an eternity, the truck finally came to a stop in a small, secluded valley. The men stepped out, their muscles aching from the long drive. They surveyed the area, their eyes scanning for any signs of life or prying eyes. Satisfied that they were alone, they set to work. Grabbing a shovel from the back of the truck, they began to dig, their movements methodical and efficient. The sand was hot beneath their feet, and sweat poured down their faces as they worked in silence. The sound of the metal blade cutting through the hard-packed earth echoed through the valley, the only sound breaking the eerie silence. As they dug, their thoughts drifted to the life they had taken, the weight of their actions bearing down on them. They had both been in this line of work for years, hardened by the violence and the constant threat of danger. But this was different. The hole grew deeper. The pile of displaced soil growing ever higher. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, they reached the desired depth. They both hesitated for a moment, staring down into the darkness. But then, without a word, carefully, they lowered the body into the grave, their movements slow and deliberate. Once the body was in place, they began to fill the hole, their shovels biting into the earth with each thrust. The task was arduous, the hot sun beating down on them as they worked. But they pressed on, driven by the need to erase any trace of their crime. As the last of the soil was packed down, they stepped back, surveying their handiwork. The grave was indistinguishable from the surrounding landscape. The only sign of their presence, the faint tracks left by the truck. Satisfied that their task was complete, they turned their attention to the final step, the burial of the bottle. This was a ritual they had performed countless times before, a way to mark the end of a job and to ensure that their secret remained hidden. Carefully, they dug a small hole at the base of the grave, just large enough to accommodate the bottle. They placed it inside, the glass glinting in the fading light, and then covered it over, ensuring that no trace of their presence. Confessionary of a sane person. It all started with the car keys, right? That's where it began. What happened was, I left for work in the morning, as I always did. Or I should have, were the car keys not missing. So I sat up from my car and went back into my house. I looked at all the usual places: the kitchen counter, the bedroom drawer, the couch. But the damn thing was nowhere to be found. I gave up and finally decided to call my wife. And the goddamn woman had brought my keys with her accidentally. She came back a couple of hours later to give me back my keys. And so I finally left home. Since I was already so late, I figured that if I stopped by a coffee shop, it wouldn't really make a difference. So that's what I did. And that's when everything got worse. After the woman had already finished preparing my order, I discovered I had forgotten my wallet. It's those awkward scenarios you hope never happen to you. Well, it did to me. So I drove back home to look for my wallet. And I went over my house once more. The kitchen counter, the bedroom drawer, the couch. Nowhere. Again. Then I called my wife to see if she had also grabbed my wallet accidentally. She denied it. And, well, you never know with people these days. But I decided to just move on. I went after my neighbor. It must have been an hour or so after I lost my wallet. The last time I saw it was when I was discussing with him in the condo meeting. But that is not the point. Well, I told him about what happened, and I asked politely if he had seen my wallet. But that old man never liked me. He just acted like I accused him of stealing it. That deranged man started screaming like crazy. I always knew he was psychotic, but not on this level. Well, that was it for me. I was sure that the old man had stolen my wallet. So I tried to sneak into his house to get what was mine. It should be a right of a person to retrieve what is theirs. So I tried to enter the house, and he tried to stop me. It turns out that man is not only frail mentally, but also physically, because the old bastard broke his arm. From then on, things got out of hand. A lot of people had to come in, and none of them heard my side of the story. I still think that man stole it, but I can't prove it. Not now. To add insult to injury, he got the condominium trustee to put a restraining order on me. Well, it's not an official one, but the result is basically the same. You see, I am just a sane person living in this mad world and trying to survive, doing my share, not asking for more than what I need. All I look for in this life is peace. But the world keeps getting in my way again and again. I've given up on retrieving my wallet, but I had to stop that man from using my credit card. So I tried to cancel it. But I'm a mere mailman, or I was before I got fired for not showing up on time. They skipped the step where I explained what happened and that I lost my keys and all. But businessmen these days don't care about real people, don't they? Sorry, I lost my line of thought. What was I talking about again? Right, the credit card. I searched for what to do on the internet, as you do these days. And the steps were clear. Contact your issuer, block your card, review recent charges, and get a replacement card. Simple, right? No, I called the issuer, and they said they had to verify my identity as the card holder before taking any action. Which seems fair at first, but then you realize it's a scam, so they don't have to do a damn thing. How did they expect me to remember my parents' full name? These insane people expected me to know my mother's maiden name. What kind of person knows these things? As soon as I called, the first thing I noticed was that this was going nowhere. Well, not really. The first thing I noticed was actually that the man's voice on the hotline sounded exactly like my first grade teacher. Nasty men, I tell you that. But that was a close second. Well, after making all those stupid requests, he finally started to get reasonable. He asked for stuff like my name, address, birthday, the things that a sane person does remember. But it did not last for long. Soon he was asking me about recent transactions. How am I supposed to know? My wife also uses this credit card. Tell me, how was I supposed to know the last purchase was at Sephora? So he got unreasonable again. He asked me for a scanned copy of my driver's license or passport. He said it was for verification purposes, but you never know people's intentions. Have you seen the newspapers exposing these billionaire companies stealing data from common men like me and you. In the end, he said he would have to cancel my card because they could not identify the real card holder, which was exactly what I wanted from the very beginning. If these people only listened to me. I lost my line of thought. I was hoping that if I kept talking, it would come back to me. I was trying to look for it as I rambled. Oh yeah, right. Sorry. Now I remember I brought this up because you kind of look like a banker. My old boss looked a lot like you. You remind me of those businessmen on TV. Do you know how to set up a new credit card? I mean, I don't want to go through all that nightmare again. My wife is already angry at me for a lot of things. If you could help me with that, I would be eternally grateful. From the moment you walked into this store, I knew I had to talk to you. You seem like a reasonable person who would help me. Anyway, thank you for choosing McDonald's. Your order is ready for pickup. Will you be paying with cash or credit card? A blinding light at the end of my nightmare. Eddie, it's bedtime. Mama would shout at me, shaking me out of my intense focus as I stared at the television set. She would add, I don't know why I let you watch those shows. You only end up peeing in your bed because of your nightmares. Feeling embarrassed in front of my older sister, I would respond in self-defense. You would get the heebie-jeebies from Alfred Hitchcock, too. Mama, he is the master and hero of all that is dark and sinister. She would not have any of it from a 10-year-old. Eddie, enough of your mouth. Get to bed. And that was the end of our discussion until tomorrow night. Reluctantly, I trudged upstairs to my bedroom. I had my normal ritual for going to bed. No, it was not brushing my teeth or washing my face. I would search every corner of my room, looking for suspicious evidence that creatures were patiently hiding for their next meal. Me. Once I canvassed every nook and cranny, I would slither under my covers, imagining that it represented a force field from all supernatural beings and beasts. Feeling some assurance that I was safe, I would drift off to a light sleep. A scraping branch against the house, a creaking pipe, a howling wind, or murmuring voices would be enough to rustle me out of my delicate slumber. I would wake with a start and repeat my ritual. Then, for the rest of the night, fall in and out of sleep. I figured a gruesome beast must have taunted me, because, unfortunately, it was very damp between my sheets when I awoke in the morning. Like any other morning, my sister would offer up her compliments. You look like hell. Eddie, did you wake up in the jaws of a monster this morning? Did you have to swim out of your bed? I turned to her with a sardonic grin, saying, be careful, or my swamp monster might swim in your bed some night. She looked at me with disgust, saying, "Eddie, you are so revolting." My breakfast then proceeded without interruption. However, this morning would be different. After my sister left for school, my parents decided to have a heart-to-heart talk about my viewing and sleeping habits. They had planned this out well, because no counter-argument I mustered up would change their plans about my immediate future. I understand parents want the best for their children, but I felt they were overstepping their bounds by compelling me to see a psychiatrist about my problem, my incontinence problem. At least, that was what I thought it would be about. The ruse to see a psychiatrist was not for incontinence, but for treatment of my obsessive-compulsive disorder, OCD, and insomnia. Apparently, my parents were keenly aware of my behavior at night. I was not aware the behaviors manifested themselves during daytime at school. My teachers were decidedly concerned, requesting my parents to intervene and find treatment for my disorders. My psychiatrist was empathetic to my interests and actually encouraged me to continue in my pursuit of thriller, scary, shock movies, games, and activities. He was so impressed that I could nearly remember all of my dreams, especially the nightmares. Nonetheless, he prescribed some medication to help tone down the OCD tendencies. His counseling therapy helped me to focus on self-control and restraint of successive, redundant behaviors. Some medicinal assistance also helped with the quality of my sleep and significantly reduced the incidence of my incontinence and snarky comments from my sister in the mornings. As the years passed, I was better. I felt rejuvenated. I was able to manage my thoughts and actions even when I immersed myself in my hobby of collecting horror movies, stories, and the like. My dreaming remained vivid. Occasionally, I would wake during the night in a cold sweat. No night terrors. No hysterical yelping at night. Some of my dreams I would not remember the next day. Nonetheless, there were a few dreams over the years that plagued me. Most were insanely comically, like an elephant falling out a skyscraper window, landing directly on top of me. Another version had an upright piano doing the same thing. Still other crazy times had killer cows or piranha fish walking on land, stalking humans. Nightmares with zombies, ghosts, or ghouls did not upset me. What was extremely disturbing to me was not knowing the source of the terror or evil. One such time, the gruesome source was found in a howling wind, which would transform itself into an array of terrifying beings, creatures, and nondescript things like a smothering ooze. I questioned why this malady of nightmares still plagued me. It was after such reflection on my condition, I decided to make good use of this nocturnal problem. I focused my career on writing horror stories, potential movies, frightening, dramatic plays. I became so good at my skills, I had the audacity to self-publish several stories. To my amazement, a producer in Hollywood got a hold of one of my published stories. Before I realized it, I had a smash horror hit on the big screen and a job creating, writing, and directing all kinds of media horror. I had made it to the big time. Blinding lights flashed all around me as cameras captured my profile at my film premieres. My fiendish ideas were making a huge success and making me rich. I was still actively struggling with my insomnia, despite my success. A deep sleep was rare for me. I shrugged it off as a consequence of the pressures of Hollywood and being recently married to a harlot of a wife. I shared with my therapist about how gruesome and sinister my nightmares had become. Yet, I justified those nightmares by citing how they were good fodder for my films and future ventures. I remained undaunted as I counted my gold. My career was literally driving me mad with ghoulish creativity. After all, they were just dreams. Maybe bad ones, but just dreams. They would remain in an ethereal state of mind until I gave them life. Already, the holidays were knocking at the door. In Hollywood, one determines the seasons by the storefront displays on Rodeo Drive and Melrose Avenue. Christmas was a mere month away. I was hoping this year the holidays would provide a peaceful respite from the hustle and bustle of shopping, my dreams, and all else. I was looking forward to the splendor of the season, bringing me some peace and much-needed rest from my constant night terrors. A few friends tried to coax me to attend church services to aid in my recovery. I declined. Churchy stuff was just not on my agenda this or any holiday season. With the house decked out in a few feeble decorations and no annoying carolers singing at my door, I decided to cozy up in my recliner for a peaceful nap, or so I thought. All of the pressure of my job and the haunting dreams had taken its toll on my body. I fell asleep instantly. I am not sure how much time had passed, but I awoke to a strong smell of sulfur, followed with a blast of very hot air. I felt something was wrong as I rose from my recliner. At first, I thought it might be a fire, but my immediate surroundings were strangely altered. Any light in the room quickly faded. It was nearly pitch black. A pinpoint of light emerged from a distance. It grew larger as it advanced toward me. Strangely, the light spoke to me. From the day you entered this world, and now to your grave, your soul has been marked for me. This is the beginning of eternity for you. You are now my child of the darkness. You are now a prisoner in my realm of depravity, defeat, and despair. Your soul is a good fit because of your perverted thoughts and sinister desires of your corrupted heart. I was stunned. I stammered out a question at the light. Who are you? And why are you visiting me? I heard clattering noises and voices in the background. The light said, I have several names. I am known as the Day Star, the Morning Star, Lucifer. In a bellowing, prideful voice, it said, I am the accuser. Instantaneously, a terrifying dragon appeared, hissing fire and sulfurous acid as it spoke these words. I am Satan, the deceiver and devourer of the whole universe. I was incredulous and could not speak. The dragon continued on. I am here because it has been your desire to delve deeper into all things purely evil and wicked. Ever since you were a child, you set your things on devilish, depraved images. I filled your mind with them, but you were never satisfied, always wanting more and more to fill up your lustful yearning for the macabre. You became successful at using my craft of malevolence in this world. Now it is time for you to repay me for all that I have given you. I frantically looked for a way out. There was none. With a trembling voice, I said, I never asked for this. Since I was a child, my nights have been filled with extreme anxiety and insomnia. You made my life a living hell. Satan quickly responded, My boy, my foolish boy, that is exactly the point. Your fascination with wickedness and death have preoccupied your mind through your entire pitiful life. I just gave you what you wanted. A living hell. You devalue human life with wretchedness and contempt by the monstrosities you have created. That is what your heart desires. Satan chuckled through his explanation. He showed me a vision of human faces etched in despair. I heard voices crying out in blood-curdling wailing. There was incessant gnashing of teeth. Flames engulfed the disembodied faces. Roaring conflagrations of intense fire and heat spewed from the vision, causing me to fall back. I was mortified and overcome with great fear. Satan spoke again with confidence. You are trapped by your earthly desires. There is no way out. My final gift is for you to capture the misery, hopelessness, and utter terror of hell in your next earthly venture. After that, your soul belongs to me in the everlasting fires of hell. In protest, I declared, Oh my God in heaven, no way on God's green earth do I plan to spend eternity with you, you ghastly vermin of mankind. At the mention of God, Satan cringed. He vehemently argued, I took care of him 2,000 years ago. I made sure he was dead, this self-proclaimed prophet, called the Christ, who called himself God. He healed pathetic people, but he could not save himself from a cross of death. I won, and now I am the victor of everything. My realm is full of the shadowy souls of despicable and evil men and women, believers and non-believers of this so-called God. I saw in that moment Satan trembling and doubting his words. That lapse gave me a moment to remember something from my childhood and the Christmases I had with my family. My mama would recount the birth of Jesus, the Christ in Bethlehem. She reminded me of my baptism of water into the community of believers in Christ. I remembered the peace and joy I received. That was a time when I had no nightmares, no night terrors. These memories made me feel stronger. In my boldness, being filled with the Spirit, I proclaimed to Satan, regardless of my sordid past and sinful actions, you, Satan, have no claim on my soul. Your lies and indictments are not binding, because Jesus, the Christ, came to your insidious place to proclaim his victory over you. Where, O death, is your victory? O death, where is your sting? Satan cowered at my words. I continued with amazing fortitude. I believe in God the Father, maker of heaven and earth. I believe in Jesus, the Christ who suffered, died, and rose again for my sins. You, Satan, are a liar, and the truth is not in you. You are damned, but I am not, because the Christ has forgiven me of my iniquities and wretchedness. The Christ is my way out of this nightmare. Begone, Satan, in the name of Jesus. A thunderous rage poured out like earthquakes, volcanoes, and raging storms, simultaneously erupting from the evil one. Instantly, Satan departed, and this frightening nightmare ended. In his wake, a blinding light emerged. I peered at the light. I saw a star hovering above a man and woman, gathered at a crib of straw. In that crib, I saw a baby wrapped in cloth, and the space around me was illuminated with an incredible light. A great peace descended upon me, releasing me of my terrorizing night afflictions. May your dreams be filled with joy and peace of the baby whose dream became reality to save man from himself. There were shepherds living out in the fields nearby. It was night, and they were taking care of their sheep. An angel of the Lord appeared to them, and the glory of the Lord shone around them. They were terrified, but the angel said to them, "Do not be afraid. I bring you good news. It will bring great joy for all the people. Today in the town of David, a Savior has been born to you. He is the Messiah, the Lord. Here is how you will know I am telling you the truth. You will find a baby wrapped in strips of cloth and lying in a manger." Suddenly, a large group of angels from heaven also appeared. They were praising God. They said, "May glory be given to God in the highest heaven, and may peace be given to those he is pleased with on earth. Man to monster, the bite mark upon my shin shined red with a purple hue, outlining the teeth indentations. "No, no, George, please, no!" wailed my wife, her knees buckled, slamming against the wooden floor of the abandoned, looted home we had found short reprieve in God knows where, Michigan. My children, Meryl and Leo, stood behind their distraught mother. By the looks on their faces, they had not yet comprehended the severity of my situation. It had been a week and a half since the outbreak. A lab test that had gone awry. The U.S. military thought they had created a superhuman drug, one that overrode the humanistic qualities of pain, reservations, fear, and the consequence of reckless abandonment. Simultaneously, this drug also heightened testosterone and adrenaline levels beyond their standard yield. The intent was, upon inoculation of the said drug, the soldier, Marine, fighter pilot, policeman, fireman, and any other form of military and first responder personnel necessary for the safety and protection of the populace would become fearless machines that could enter any burning building, gunfight, and combat zone with the sole intention of completing their objective without the inhibitions of the typical human. One would think this was the beginning of creating the most fearless corps of men and women the world had ever seen. From my understanding, the testing transpired in a Northern Californian military installation. Volunteers of the U.S. Armed Forces participated in the experimentation with the promise of hefty compensation. At first, it seemed a success. News reports stated that the super soldier had been produced, stoking courage in our countrymen and fear in our enemies. Footage circulating the interwebs showed army men stepping through thick, boarded walls, swarming and cutting down artificial targets with precision and lethality, scaling walls at lightning-fast speed, and performing deftly feats on land, air, and sea. The Pentagon was still patting itself on the back when one of the test subjects had ravaged and gored his wife, child, and house pet. Not only that, another was at a house party and had cut, bit, and shredded some of the other party-goers with their bare hands. Worse, those affected by these sudden acts of acute violence had taken on the monstrous nature as well. The captured affected, now infected, were held against their will by scientists of the highest order. These experts revealed the drug's design had gone rogue, what best could be described as a feedback loop. The effects that made the drug successful had become indefatigable. The bodies of those with the drug in their bloodstream were unable to shake its domineering effects. It seemed to feed itself, making the subjects more fearless and tolerant of pain. Moreover, its psychosis-altering capabilities had reached levels of deadly proportions. A ravenous desire to bite, claw, and eat raw flesh had become the deity of their souls and singular desire. They had become what we had called, in sci-fi, fiction lore, and literary horror, now a reality. Zombies. When our little suburban outpost in Lansing had become overrun by these zombies, Weezo, like millions of others across the country, made a break for safety. As to where that was, we did not know. But we knew to pack our things and take off in the minivan. However, that did not last long, as traffic and the onslaught of the infected, stagnated vehicular mobility we took on foot, crossing medians, abandoned interstates, through woods and fields, and anywhere where the screams of victims and wretched cries of monsters had subsided. Government proclamations were useless. Assuring us to stay in our houses until protection arrived was akin to waiting in a burning house until rain clouds arrived. To top it all off, there was not even a whisper of a cure. We were at the mercy of this infernal contagion. The zombies finally forced us out of a vacant barn we had stayed in for a few days. I hot-wired an old pickup truck in a nearby garage and drove on some back roads until we encountered an abandoned neighborhood. With a machete I had collected in my hand, I had cut down all opposition in our way. A fully infected zombie, which still had the rigors of a merciless beast, also had severely debilitated coordination and reaction. My machete swiped and sliced through the susceptible flesh of the infected. A mere sidestep and a high school level trained baseball swing proved sufficient. All seemed manageable, that is, until I passed a half-chewed corpse, severed by what appeared to be the teeth marks of a chainsaw. As I motioned for my family to hurry over an HVAC unit and through a busted-out living room window, the halved corpse snatched me by the ankle. With its clammy, gray hand, it yanked itself towards my leg and clamped its maw around my shin. I stifled my cry and hacked it away until it fell still. My wife, Erin, noticing the struggle, immediately turned her eyes toward the wound as I entered the abode, leading us to our current predicament. She groaned and cried, knowing what was in store for me, for us. I could not help but try to comfort her. I bent down to collect her. "No!" she shrieked, slapping my hand away. A sudden life beheld her, for she scuttled to our children and held them in her arms. A darkened complexion formed on her face. She snatched the machete and extended its edge toward me. My initial reaction was to reprimand her for the hurt. But conceding doom was at my door, it gave me hope. For even if the slightest bit of my bodily fluids entered her bloodstream, our children could fall too, devoured by filicidal mania. If my wife were willing to reject her husband, one she had been lovingly married to for nearly a decade, with such sharp rebuke She must certainly have the perseverance to lead 2 of our 4 surviving children. My children, Meryl and Leo, had not fully understood the dystopian future before them. At the formative ages of 8 and 6, respectively, they knew something was unnatural about this new reign of terror. They had seen their elder brother and sister ripped to pieces, protecting them from the infected pursuants. When I found time to weep for my eviscerated firstborns, I did so liberally, but not in front of them. I will join them shortly, but I must put my mortal family in order first. Honey, Meryl, Leo, I said, kneeling to meet their eye level. Yes, Daddy, uttered Meryl. She had her chin against her chest, and it quivered. That's a good girl, I said. I want you to. A sudden pang shot through me. The side of my neck tightened, and my lower jaw protruded out, baring my lower row of teeth. The children gasped. My wife pulled them close to her and backed away from me. Back, I shouted. Get back! I was not sure how the transition would consume me, but I had certainly felt it. A raging swell of power spread within me. It was like a high, unlike anything I had experienced before. My strength seemed to surge. The forces of gravity were effectless. A ludicrous idea came over me that I could easily lift a car or thrust my knee through the wall. Subsequently, a craving for flesh had come. My mind started to obsess over the notion of sinking my teeth into a sumptuous piece of raw chicken. I thought about how my teeth would break the surface, diving into its tender structure and tearing it and consuming it, slaking my hunger. I slid my tongue between my molars to replicate the sensation. Then my senses returned. I must have fallen into a fit, for my family gaped at me with fretful eyes. I was on my side in a pool of sweat. I didn't move. If I could lie still and slow my heart rate, perhaps the effects of the bite would curb, leaving my family more time to flee so they could remember me before I succumbed. Sweetheart, I grunted. A pain was forming deep within the pit of my stomach. I want you to get to my parents. My how, clutching our children, replied with a tear-filled cry. Why? Their cabin in Barreton. They have guns, land. It's isolated. The pain had reached an unruly state. My back arched, my limbs tightened, and I began to writhe and twist upon the ground violently. I froze, paralyzed by the locking measures of my muscles. I saw my son's leg, supple and bare, peek out from behind his mother. It was then that a sudden predatory inhabitant inside me overpowered my sensibilities. My fingers dug into the floor. I let out a roar, drool trailing from my jowls, and scampered toward my terrified family, ready to tear the flesh from their hides. "Run, kids, run," my wife cried. As my family started to flee, the fear of loss, my human quality, supplanted the monster that had hijacked my mind. My body eased, and I slumped again. "Erin!" I shouted. She and my children were near the end of the hall. They turned around. I was dizzy, exhausted, and on the brink of fainting, for my body could not handle the sudden rise of the drug's power. What is it?" she shouted through sobs. My head rolled to its side. I took in the sight of the beautiful family I had, the woman I had vowed to, the son and daughter I had watched grow and play, the family I carried in my heart. "Take care. I love you." Her chin quivered. "I love you too," she said. I breathed a sigh of release. "Go!" I shouted. "Get out of here!" My wife nodded and sped around the corner. When the patters of their feet were out of earshot, I was at peace. The mental guards laid down their defenses, and the disease scaled the ramparts, displacing the man I was and becoming the monster I had feared. I let out a horrid, blood-fueled screech as I rose from the floor, tearing my clothes from my body. It was rage. It was fury. It was the lust to kill and taste the living. A waft of the odors left by my family slithered up my nostrils. I inhaled their flavor, turned towards the hall, and sped after them. The hunt was on. Virus. I am so crushed by time. Time and these oozing wounds and the rotten flesh, like mealy apple that is my chest cavity. Rotten skin and an infected mind. Gangrenous parietal. So insatiably starving for living flesh, to rend it in my grinding jaw, the music of muscle mashing between molars and canines. A beating heart, my own, a thick, bloody stake. The fog of insanity. I am a monster, a living dead. I was once a man, the axe head dragging heavy in the dirt. A curved razor edge and an engraved raven screaming in the silver. Scratches all along the throat and dried blood caked from heel to toe. A thin trail drawn in my footsteps, full of nightmares and terror. A horsefly crawls from a soggy hole in my cheek. Up ahead, in the cobalt blue between night and dawn, a cabin with windows boarded and the door barricaded. Faint whisper of light on the eastern rim, hope pretending to be where it's certainly not. Or is it truly there? Does hope still exist when your own has gone from the world? Footsteps forward. An animal slaughtered and torn to bits in the yard. A goat, most likely. Its rib cage shorn and sucked of the marrow. Bones and hooves make for lovely crowns. Some of the infected have shown an affinity for satanic macabora, my own skin crawling. The devil inside me too. Feed, devour carcasses, piled and burned and turned to ash. Skulls with strips of flesh melted to orbitals. An explosive exit wound from a lonely dome rolled to the bottom of the blackened heap. Shotgun, sawed off. The stench is unmistakable, an overpowering, mutant reek blowing about in the wind. Someone has defended this place well. It's eerie and silent. No barn or garage. Tracks swerve backwards frantically in the gravel driveway. No vehicle in sight. A rope swing slung from the branch of an oak shivers in the breeze. Crows cry from the barren trees. They've learned not to pick at our remains. Those that do go stark mad. They attack their own, and soon the whole murder is infected. Dark balloons, writhing in the sky, plowing at high velocities into stone structures, crashing through glass and shredding themselves to feathered ribbon. Perhaps everything living is gone. No. Through the foul aroma, something else. Sweat, blood, tears. Feast. The wood porch groans under my feet. Rancid stumps numb to feeling. Digits cracked and twisted from wild wanderings. Everything boarded. Nothing through which to peer. I rap a knuckle on the door. Solid, reinforced with planks. Or perhaps the overturned dining room table. I make sure to stay clear of the frame. Whatever shotgun did damage to that skull could be waiting on the other side. Moments go by. Nothing. I asked Caroline to marry me in a field of sunflowers. I planned to surprise her at the peak, but the sun pouring over the ridge painted everything a warm, liquid gold and filled me with a fearlessness I've not felt since. A courage that makes old friends of forever. She paused, a petal between her fingertips, and when she turned around, I was on one knee with a little box and a ring. I didn't even get the words out. Yes, she breathed, dropping to the ground with me, my palm circling the small of her back, her hand running laps through my hair. Brown eyes, like Kodiak fur. I press my ear to the door, raw appendage blistered by the cold, the upper portion torn away by raking fingernails. Inside, a sound wave, barely a ripple, and then a booming echo, the thundering of a grandfather clock from a time long past. What's the hour? 5 a.m.? 6? What do the hands of a clock mean when time itself has stopped? And who said it ever really began? All of us zombies back then, slaves to time, wishing we had more, doing nothing with it, the best intentions, and all of our might, and all we did was eat the world. Mind virus, mustard gas in my demented cerebral, Entire battalions twisting in the mud, gasping and choking, clawing away at their necks. Quiet. Solitude. A freezing morning, and a cabin in the woods. Flesh. Feed. Gorge. I descend back down the steps and head for the rear of the house. My eyes dart in their sockets, alert to danger. The obliterated mutants in the yard burned in my thoughts like the scorched outline of a cattle brand. A ton of ammunition to build a mountain of bodies that big. Landmines and claymores, maybe. But the car gone, and no sniper fire to greet me. A fiendish drawl of laughter leaks from me. Where else to go? The hell is all around you. The backyard, gray and dreary and desolate. Spindly trees like crooked skeletons, and a rusted weather vane plunged into the earth. A playscape with a slide and tunnel. Haunting emptiness. Abandoned next to the playscape. A purple big wheel with pink streamers taped to the handlebars, and Disney princess stickers pasted all along the back seat. Ice in my fingertips and chalk in my throat. A rupture in time and a memory forced to the surface. Winter sunlight streaming through the living room window, and a cinnamon aroma wafting through the hall. Evergreen needles and ornaments sparking within. Icicles and candy canes and crimson hearts adorned with all of our smiles. Thrashing, tearing, ripping. The wrapping paper undone while she giggles with glee. Wow, she hollers, animated as a cartoon coyote losing its top. Yay, Daddy. She bounces up and down in the rubble, the paper crunching and crinkling beneath her, a smile on my face, and Caroline's hands on my shoulders. She kisses my cheek and rests her chin on the top of my head. "Oh, what did you get her?" she asks, the size of the box exasperating the tone in her voice. Surely there's nowhere to put it? Not in this tiny space. "It's a big wheel, Mommy." She's flipping it sideways and shoveling away the mess to give her mother a clear view. Her eyes beam with excitement, and electricity crackles in the room. Fleece jammies and wool socks floating a few strands of her strawberry blonde locks in the sunlight. "Can we take it out, Daddy? Can we?" She tugs at my arm. "It's all right with me. Ask your mom, though. Even Daddy has to ask Mom when he wants to do something around here." She bites her lip. She can be annoyed by the box occupying half the living room, or the childishness of her husband's silly, untrue joke. But what she can't deny is the thrill in her daughter's voice, or the simple joy that arises within a child when they receive a bike on Christmas. "Oh, okay," she relents, but coat and boots on Missy. "And take your father with you. I've got a breakfast casserole in the oven, and I still have to ice the cinnamon rolls." Gabby bounds from the room cheering. "And you?" She gives a playful shove. "Get that box down into the dumpster before I tape you inside and return to sender. I wrap her in my arms and take her down to the rug. She shrieks and we laugh and kiss, rolling around in the mess. The empty playscape again, front and center, and the big wheel lonely on the hard ground. Rage surges through me. I have the sudden urge to split a living thing in two, to pin its entrails to the wall. My hunger is an ocean, a quick twitch, wretched suffering, and a tweaking need for flesh between my teeth. There's a log on a stump from the before times when smoke from a chimney wasn't a sure way to get you killed. I raise the axe over my head and unleash an animal howl. I bring it down savagely, splitting the log in two, and the stump 3/4 the way to the ground. Rage. Feed. I pry the axe free and return my gaze to the cabin. Something unexpected. The back entrance is exposed. The door's been ripped from its hinges. It lies mangled 10 yards away. Darkness in the frame. Silence. No movement, but my own steps forward. A snarling in my mind. An impatient unease. I pick up a stone and lob it through the door. No hail of gunfire. No screams shredding the silence. I hold the axe steady and enter. A trail of blood on the kitchen floor and a shattered coffee pot nearby. Jagged remains of dishes scattered everywhere. Bullets in the wall and casings at my feet. A confrontation. But where are the bodies? Or at least the remains? Somewhere near. The scent is stronger, and the sound audible through the door. It's clearer now. A radio. There's a radio playing. It's coming from the living room. More blood on the carpet. Not just droplets, but messy splatters with a darker hue. A more gaping wound. An open artery. A bigger chunk removed. A green light blinks in the bookcase. The radio mumbles away. My monologue's out of control. I found the hole where the happiness goes. Lump in my throat and a throat in my tongue. I'm gonna scream at the top of my lungs. You get lost in the ocean. What do you do when you are so broken? The flood, the feeling comes over. How are you so loved and so lonesome? I press the power button and the noise ceases. Starving. I'm so starving. And some stable calm has bloomed within me. A hurricane eye still and silent, outside of which the chaos of the universe churns. A chaos untamed by the God that created it. What God? So much hatred in my heart. If infinite wisdom allows for this, then I wish to remain a feral beast forever. Up the stairs I go. In the hallways is where I find them. An infected with its head blown off, gushers of blood pooled in a lake around its body. Rigor mortis set in long ago. The creature's bony fingers have curled and cemented, its spine stiff as a folding board, and the smell putrid even to me. Black flies feasting on the carcass. A rat scurries from the gaping hole in its neck. The man of the house sat up against the wall at the end of the hallway, a shotgun blast through his heart. I bare my teeth and lean in for a closer look. Yellow in his eyes, in his fingernails, claw marks on his neck, infected by the thing he slew. Took his own life to avoid the fate of us. He's a weak dead, at least. No use to me. I crave flesh that's alive. There's nothing alive here. I reach into his pocket and find an unused shell. I slot into the shotgun and tuck the weapon under my arm. I descend the stairs and head back outside. I make for the woods behind the cabin. Maybe I can kill a buck and drain its blood, enough to sustain me while I hunt. Icy dew on the hard ground. It cracks beneath my steps. I stop in my tracks, and a hellish grin spreads slowly on my cracked lips. What a gift of the virus. The nose of a bloodhound. The scent has returned. It possesses me, makes my blood boil. I follow it, saliva dripping from my chops. Thump, hollowness beneath me. I roll onto my toes and then back on my heels. A creaking, and then a soft whimper. I can hear the blood rushing in their veins. My rain blows down upon the concealed cellar door. Screams that curdle the air, and animal fear that only presents inches from death. I jam my heel into the destroyed wood and rip the pathetic thing from its hinges. I descend down. Feeding time. A woman in tears and shaking uncontrollably. The virus propelling me forward like a demonic puppet. So dark in here. Just a single lantern, and still barely any light in the sky. My jaw ready to clamp her throat, a whimper beneath her breast. A child, a girl, 2 years old, time swirling backwards again. Terrified screams, creatures tearing through our home, crawling on the walls and ceiling. Caroline sprints to the truck, Gabby bawling in her arms. The pistol barks in my hand. A bullet explodes through the eye of a pursuing mutant. Now I'm tearing after both of them, heart in my throat. The fear of God releasing atmospheres of adrenaline. I rip open the cab door, but it's too slow. The creature's claws are in my calf, and he's drawn blood. I waste him with the last bullet in the chamber and fall backwards, dragged to the pavement. I can feel it surging inside of me. Caroline's screaming, my face in her cupped hands. Hot tears streaming down, foam in my mouth, and violent convulsions. My windpipe is constricting. Go. I breathe. Caroline. Go. No, she cries. No, I won't leave you. Jagged needles of pain shooting up and down my limbs. Feverish sweat pouring from my glands. Go, or I'll kill you. She clutches harder. No, I won't. Yellow sun bursting in my corneas. Boiling rage and insanity beginning to blink its horrible visions. I take a final look at my baby girl. Then my last words before losing control. Go, or I'll kill her. The Jeep roars from the driveway, gravel dust clouds, and descends upon me. Wailing with her hands, pounding the glass, is Gabby. In her grip, her little Jonathan husky doll, time present again. In the dark cellar, a mother and her daughter. And in the terrified girl's hands, a stuffed beagle. Her own Jonathan. I jolt backwards, the cords in my neck straining under great pressure. Oxygen has evacuated my lungs. Kill, feed, musty in the cellar. A dankness that comes with the dark and wet. Go, Caroline, I won't. I collapse to my knees and retch. Blood in my eyes. Ravenous hunger that grips me. The woman clutches her girl and cries. She rocks back and forth, covering her daughter's eyes. No, I can't. No, I won't. Choked words between the retching. I won't leave you. Go, or I'll kill her. The fury is about to take over. I can feel it cresting into the abyss. One last shred of humanity inside me. My daughter's eyes in my soul. I clasp the shotgun and slide it, panicked, across the cement floor. Do it! I scream. But the virus has taken everything, and it comes out as a wild, maniacal howl. I'm overtaken, completely overrun. There is no more of me left. She lunges for the shotgun. I lunge to feast. A blast shatters the morning. There is no more of me left, witch and judge. I am here, in my skin, in my flesh. My spirit clings to the body, not as a vessel, but as a home, and I will not be moved. I repeat the watchwords against division, clutching someone else's rosary. I repeat them. My nails grasp at a different bead, any other bead. My hands forget everything in their cloying desperation for the comfort of a warm wooden anchor. My eyes are drawn away from me. The tears do not help. I cannot see, but then I can. Judge is heaving a great piece of wood, striped orange and white. His back is hunched, and his feet struggle against the splintered wooden barrier. His mouth is statically agape, and his face does not contort or demonstrate any recognition of circumstance. He is the unaffected Tasky, and the last 3 feet of his unwieldy plank strike me from the shoulder to the ground. I am dead. I am clutching the rosary again. My spirit quiets as I reflect on the anger of the grotesque monster I inhabited. He drove a cab for tourists before this country fell into ruin. 3 sons, 4 daughters, and a dead wife, a widower who had not given thought to a better alternative. The cabin of his vehicle was a presentation: ash-colored cloth seats without stain or spot, and 2 complimentary water bottles protruding out of the door cup holders made an effort unmistakable. His ethos was not so much a blunt acceptance of reality as a cold disdain for wishful thinking. All of this poured into my heart as I spent the last few seconds of his life with him. And now I am here, and the door scrapes against the dirt towards me, creating a small mound as it goes. I am not a small woman, but Judge is a tall man. He is an oak that has grown straight and uniform, its roots deep under the earth, unexposed. When I look into his brown eyes, exposed by the sunlight, now reflecting about this pale, wooden shed, I see a stern father. It is all in how he creases his eyebrows. "Are you okay?" he asks me, still clinging to my borrowed rosary. I stand up. My spirit clings to my body with renewed vigor. The vague pain of loss that always reminds me of my husband starts to fade away. It is a beautiful feeling, the body reunited with the spirit like long-lost lovers. 2 co-inhabitants, not 2 halves. But it doesn't go away completely, though my spirit is quieted. All of this in the 30 seconds it takes for me to rise, arthritic pain searing my hip. "I am all right, thank you," I say, ginger but proud. He does not carry that large piece of wood anymore, but his hands have the blisters to prove he once did. He does not want to show it, but he looks tired. And the bulging plastic monster on his back, carrying all of our supplies, seems to make it worse. He needs to rest. I am really feeling quite at peace. Perhaps we should rest. He seems to have difficulty understanding what I am saying. His eyes are fixed upon a small hole in the corner of the shack, where something has dug up the dirt foundation. It is good to rest here. His gruff voice and Italian accent remind me of an old Don from a mafia movie who spoke wistfully of the old country. But he lacks any of the charm or familiarity. His breath is still heavy. The rising and falling of his chest is easily seen through his fleece jacket. His mouth is slightly agape, as though it only existed for the intake and expulsion of air. He blinks again. Then finally, there is motion. He does not spring into action. He slowly rolls his shoulders, and the large backpack falls to the dirt on its bulging pockets, rolling back and forth like an upended turtle. I strongly believe in the importance of polite conversation. It is the only contribution I can make given my infirmities. What wondrous weather it is. He begins to unroll the sleeping bag. It is for me, of course. He is ever the gentleman in that way, at least. Was it a joy to have such weather in your youth? The sleeping bag haphazardly sprawled on the ground. He takes out a portable stove. His hands seemed designed to break the little dials. Yet he turns it with shaking fingers and a hunched back, like a chef garnishing his signature dish. Perhaps you might tell me something of the flowers here. A special kind your mother preferred? I am quite shocked he has ignored me here. That kind of question is bound to get an emotion out of even the most stalwart Presbyterian. Alas, nothing. He opened the can of soup with his Swiss Army, and that means it is almost time for bed. And for the debriefing, of course. We are only one day from Monteriggioni. We have no food left. We have 1 liter of potable water. The terrain will not be difficult. The elevation will be difficult. We will leave at 600. We will arrive before 1800. Do you have any questions? As his words come out, I feel a twisting frustration. 2 months of scavenging Rome. A week of marching through Tuscany. So many dead people. Good people. Good people that he killed. How many more of them will you murder before you let me leave? He raises his busy, unkempt unibrow. You have a burden. I have a burden. You have a burden? I watch you. I see what they see. I feel what they feel. They had hopes. Do you? I do, witch. A couple of tears form in the corner of my eyes. They are both pitch black. I start scratching my blotchy red skin. He does not say it with the twisting of inflection or with intention to harm. My name is Marigold. I thrust my finger forward at him, and some rogue conscience makes me feel silly. But is the right gesture for the right moment. I need you, witch, and you need me. I am his tool. His edge against the infected, and nothing more. They are not demons, and I am not a witch. You are deranged. You are sick. The next time they are near us, I just might not tell you anything. I might just take a little trip with them. Then I will die. My legs have adjusted to the long days of walking, but I am still exhausted. I want to prolong the argument. I want to share how the infected feel with him. I certainly have tried. I want him to see the crisp interior of the cab. I want him to know about the children and the mothers and the friends and the loved ones. But I don't think any of that would matter. At this point, I doubt he has any point of reference. He must be a statue brought to life, or a thing sprung out of the ground. I fall asleep. I am moving. Quickly. Faster than I ever have. I am hungry. Starving. Grass touches my face, springing backward as easily as forward. My paws leave no evidence in the dirt. I dig a little. My back scrapes against wood. and it hurts. I have to eat. I bite something. I awake to a shout. I cannot see. It is too dark, and our flashlight turned out weeks ago. We had hoped to find a new one at this Monteriggioni. I feel around on the dirt. Something bit me. A mouse. Demon. Judge is infected. I did not wake up. Why did I not wake up? You will kill me. It is still dark. I still cannot see. I feel something rubber, indented, grooved. Judge's shoe. I feel something dread. Something furry. The mouse. Dead. Hours pass in silence. I cannot go to sleep. Judge has hours, and almost all of them will be spent in darkness. Dim morning light fills the shed. Judge shoved it open hours ago, but only now I noticed. What I would give for an infected to stumble nearby. I would do anything to be someone else. I would do anything not to be Judge's comforter. We do not talk. I do not apologize for my outburst, and a regrettable part of my soul feels schadenfreude, as Judge will have to suffer as an infected. He has made others suffer so much. He has killed so many of them, and I am the witness to their pain. I resolve to not kill him. I look at Marigold. She is a pitiful thing, wretched even. Marigold stands up. I stand up. I am Judge, but I am also the witch. But I am also Marigold. I am Judge. I want nothing more than to not be this thing, this demon. I want to see a happy world. I prayed so much for the witch. I loved her, and now she is standing up. She drives the Swiss Army into my neck, and I stumble. I die. So today's story has come to an end. Or perhaps it never really ended. There are mysteries still there, questions still unanswered, and sometimes things that seem to only exist in stories can creep into reality in unexpected ways. Are you sure that when you turn off the sound, everything around you will still be normal as before? Or is there something watching you? Either way, always remember that these are just stories, or at least we want to believe that they are. If you like moments of suspense, tension, and breathlessness, don't forget to follow me so you don't miss the next stories. And next time, when you come back, make sure you are ready, because what awaits you may be even scarier than you thought. See you again if you still have the courage to continue listening.